Planet Killer Star Trek on. Commander Matt Decker, a man to honor. Okay. Hey, Scuba Steve. You can go full AA spec in a Monty, and with FDR, you can barely kill planes still. Yeah, so the FDR is interesting. The FDR is weird. So the FDR is specifically designed, I believe, for a competitive environment. So if you look at this, each of these planes has a shitload of health. 3710, basically 4,000, 3,200. They have tons and tons of health, but they're extremely effing slow. So if we look at like the Montana, you might think, well, the Montana, it's a tier 10 battleship. I mean, yeah, this is gonna kill shit. If we look at what the AA is, we have to understand what the AA is telling us. So when we look at this, we see 75% hit probability out to 6 kilometers, 175 damage. Well, that 75 is a modifier, so 75% of 175 is less, probably about 140, maybe even less than that, maybe 130. 130 DPS against something with 4,000 health. That's going to take a while. Mid-range, going up to 500 now. Okay, well, realistically, that's probably like 400 after this hit probability bullshit. 380 maybe. So if these two combine together, that's going to be like 500 damage a second. That's cool. But still, 500 damage a second is 8 seconds to kill something with 4,000 health. That's a long fucking time, especially when they come out in swarms of 14 planes, which is a lot of damn planes. And then lastly, we've got some additional that's going to kick in, which is probably an additional like 210, so you're doing like 710. All right, that's going to start trimming the numbers down a little more. If you hit your priority sector, you're going to take a bite out of them, and it's going to be buffed, but 15 seconds is a little long. Sometimes they could swing over you, and then you've got this weak side that's shooting at them. So is a Montana going to be able to fight off an FDR alone? No. You might kill a plane, you might kill 2 planes, but he's going to drop you. And then you might kill a plane, you might kill 2 planes, he's going to drop you again. He's going to beat the shit out of you unless you have some kind of support. But something that the Montana does have is 8 flak shells. This is a little counterintuitive though. You see the number 8, that looks pretty cool, but you got a hit probability of 75%. What does that mean? Well, it's different. 75% means on average, 75% of your flak will fire. So on average, you'll shoot 6 flak puffs, not 8. Sometimes you'll shoot 8. Sometimes you'll shoot 4. And there's a range to it. It's going to average in on that 6, which can be really a bitch. So I kind of want to show something real quick, which is, I did recordings of this. So let's look at the difference between 6 flak puffs, 4, and 8. So let's look at what 8 is. So we kind of bring this up. I have like multiple ships that are going to be shooting because I just did this in a training room. So 8 flak puffs is going to start to wall. We're going to see that it's forcing us to divert, it's forcing us to interact, etc. And these are pretty zippy planes, able to turn, etc. And of course, this is just AI stuff. So we do see some walling here. That's what 8 looks like. All right, so let's shrink this, please. There we go. That's what a Montana could do. Realistically, it's actually going to be kicking about 6. So a little bit of walling, but some gaps. Still some walls, but some gaps. Took some interaction though. So I mean, it's not bad, but it's not great. We make this smaller? There we go. We can. Cool. But what if we put 2 Montanas together, where we have as many as 16, or more realistically, maybe like 6. We'll go with like 14. Let's look at what a 14 flak puff looks like. Now remember, FDR has extremely slow planes. They are not maneuverable, and in general, they are flak magnets. So you're gonna see kind of what this looks like. So the ships are off timing, so they're not combining. However, we're forced to move, forced to move, forced to move. Hopefully when we come in here, we'll see more actually of walling, because they're off time. One is shooting, the other's shooting. One is shooting, the other's shooting. But this is constantly forcing motion, movement, diversion, rather than the ability to simply pick an attack line and go in. So by having a second Montana, you're gonna alter the FDR's interaction with you And when you start dealing flak damage in a Montana, you do 1,700 damage. That's about half of a plane's health, and you might hit multiple planes. So if you're able to do that, suddenly the FDR's interaction is much different. What I recommend is if you've got an FD on your ass, you want probably about 12 or more flak puffs to be able to get flak damage into the thing, plus you get shots off, because realistically you want to hurt the damn planes. You want to kill 3, 4, maybe 5 of them per attack. He's gonna hit you. CVs are allowed to hit enemy players. That's a thing. You're allowed to do that. Surface ships, you're allowed to shoot people, you're allowed to torp people, you're allowed to ram people. CVs are allowed to shoot people with planes. They are. But you have all the ability to use your defenses to what strengths you can, and that's going to involve flak. It's going to involve flak and continuous damage. Something else that's cool to know is that an Austin with a spec'd out commander or a spec'd out AA build has, it says 11, but it's actually 13 because of the slot 6 mod. Slot 6 mod, when defensive fire is active, it does 13 flak puffs by itself. She's a mean motherfucker. And it does say hit probability 90%, so that 13 might actually be 12, maybe it might be 11, might fluctuate a little bit. But when you kick this with defensive fire, this 26,000 goes up to like 10k. So any shells, any flak damage that hits an FDR vaporizes a plane. It's just fucked. And if it hits multiple planes, then multiple planes are fucked. Like, this thing is a monster. This was recently added in prior to the Dutch cruisers, which are coming in, and I assume the Dutch cruisers are going to have similar levels of AA. I think this ship was kind of like a test concept for it.